explained and took as a pain example from using Signicat and Bank ID, I'm still stuck with 45 minutes of completing a form that are just information that is public. I mean, it's name, personal ID number, address, gender. I mean, it's stupid things like you can just extract from records.
Yeah, actually, so if you want to make the product, so rather than only being an aggregator, if you want to make the product, if you want to enhance the product and be an aggregator and the processor of information and a compiler and refine something, is what you said now, extracting information from different databases, I mean, what you would do, or are there other things that are even more advanced that you can do with the product, you think, in the near term?
Yeah, again, I think, I did the project for a client, partly doing that, because again, you can do artificial intelligence, but you can also do machine learning in terms of, let's say you take the next step, and when you've onboarded the client, or for that matter, you can still use it when you onboard the client, but you can use a lot of statistics and both internal data and external data in terms of what type of clients and what type of this, that, and the other should raise your suspicion for whether that is a client that should go through automatically or whether you should look at it more carefully. So I would say that that's probably still a huge space in addition to the overall space of EID and e-signature is to automate the population and the processing of what is still required in terms of populating whatever you are requested to populate when either you fill in a contract or an agreement with different companies. I still think that to combine those different technologies in terms of authentication, signing, machine learning, artificial intelligence, I mean, that's when we're really starting to come close to a perfect solution in a sense.
And do you know of many startups that are, or of any startups that are taking the battle against Signicat?
No, surprisingly not.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of companies that are sort of providing artificial intelligence, but very often they are missing some sort of underlying problem that they solve.
Okay. But in general, there are competitors against Signicat, right?
Yeah, Signicat has competitors, definitely. But
yeah.
You were asking startups.
Yeah, exactly.
And those
so no startups, but otherwise competitors for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about Signicat's solution, it, at least on a level that we understand, it feels like a simple solution with an API. But how advanced, or what's your view on how advanced it is when it comes to their proprietary development? And do you think it would take a long time creating the same sort of product?
I'm not really a technical person or engineer that can really judge what is easy and what is difficult. What I do know as a let's say banker or a user is that you have to have very, very robust and secure solution. So even though I would distance myself a little bit by from saying that it's just a simple API.
Yeah.
Because the critical part here is that you aren't exposed to hacking, you aren't exposed to fraudulent attacks, and at least in the Nordics we're quite spoiled by having a very, very, very high consistent operations time. So I mean, I spent a few millions on systems that didn't work when these tokens and certificates that are kind of the key for approving the signature, when they are not working, that is it's really a nightmare, because all of these are critical actions. I mean, you you can't enter your internet bank, you can't do your payments. I mean it's both embarrassing and critical. So even though it might be in a way a simple API, I say, my understanding of it is it's really sensitive and highly requirements in terms of consistency and operational stability.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And otherwise, what opportunities do you see for a player like Signicat?
Go global.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they're doing, and continuously work with as you said, this simple API, but make it stable, secure, and easy to implement on multiple schemes, because I think there are so many years until you have both a EU standard, local standard. I mean, even in Norway, you have a lot of different identification. You have bank ID, PayPass, My ID. There's a number of schemes, and there are still national fights over what is sort of the leading one. I mean, the leading one is BankID, but you still have a number of others. So yeah, and I mean, for now, we take it for granted. No one are really paying for the security of secure ID and secure signing. Not the end user, anyway. The issuer, the formal issuer. I still think there are, in that respect, still room for taking more out of the business model of revenues.
Okay. What do you say are the biggest risks for, let's say, Signicat?
Well, that's back to why I don't understand it to be a simple API, because if Signicat had one big breach, then they are dead.
Okay.
So I mean that you have to have extremely high confidence levels on your product. So I think to continuously work on stable and secure technology is crucial.
Okay.
And in a sense, the bigger they become, the bigger are the risks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if they would fail with their security, they could, the trust could disappear for the company, and would die out quite quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. And
you mentioned
any external risks? Sorry.
Well, what do you mean by external risks?
Like regulation or competitors coming up with a smarter solution?
The latter one, I think, is definitely